You ever find yourself just picking the same brand of coffee or phone or even car without really thinking about it? Yeah, me too. So what is it that makes some companies these giants, these household names, while so many others just kind of fade away? Well, we're about to open up the playbook that explains exactly how the best businesses win, and more importantly, how they keep on winning.
I mean, think about it. In a world with just endless choices, where countless companies are all vying for your attention, for your wallet, how do they do it? What's the secret sauce? How does one brand manage to cut through all that noise and become the clear winner? That's the big question we're going to tackle.
So here's our game plan. First, we got to learn the rules of the game. Then we'll look at the two main ways to win. You can either win on price, or you can win by being totally different. We'll uncover the secret weapons companies use to pull this off, see how the titans of industry put it all into practice, and finally, figure out the real trick, how they manage to stay on top.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the most fundamental rule of the game. Before you can even think about competing, you have to know what the goal is. So let's define this key concept: competitive advantage. You know, in the simplest terms, it's the real reason you choose one company over another. It's their special sauce, their unique edge. And this is so important. It's not just about being good at something. It's about being better in a way that really truly matters to you, the customer. All right, let's dive into the first major strategy from the playbook. This one is super direct, incredibly effective, and you see it everywhere. It's all about winning by being the cheapest. In the business world, they call this the cost leadership strategy. The goal here is pretty simple: become the absolute master of efficiency. These companies are obsessed, and I mean obsessed, with trimming every last bit of fat from their operations, from the supply chain all the way to the factory floor. And they do all this for one single reason: so they can pass those savings on to you. Their ultimate weapon is that unbeatable price tag. But what if you can't be the cheapest? Or maybe you just don't want to be? Well, lucky for you, there's a whole other path to victory. It's called the differentiation strategy, and it's all about making yourself impossible to ignore. With differentiation, the idea is to give people a reason to choose you that has absolutely nothing to do with price. It could be superior quality, a breathtaking design, or maybe service that makes you feel like you're the most important person in the world. See, you're not just selling a product anymore. You're selling a feeling, an experience, maybe even a whole identity. So it really just boils down to these two fundamental choices. You can either compete for the customer's wallet by mastering efficiency, or you can go for their heart and mind through innovation and by being completely one of a kind. And as you're about to see, both of these are incredibly powerful paths to victory. So we've covered the what, those two core strategies. But what about the how? How do they actually do it? Well, let's look at the real tools, the secret weapons that companies use to build these advantages in the first place. Yeah. Think of these as the power-ups in a video game. Cutting-edge tech can create a product that nobody else can even touch. An iconic brand can build just unshakable loyalty. Being massive, having that incredible scale, means you can operate cheaper than anyone else. And a culture of constant innovation, that keeps you one step ahead of everybody else, always. Okay, so theory is one thing, but let's see how all this stuff actually plays out in the real world. It's time to look at how some of the biggest companies on the planet put their competitive advantages into action. When you think of low prices, I bet there's one name that just instantly pops into your head: Walmart. They are, without a doubt, the undisputed champions of that cost leadership strategy. So how do they pull it off? It's basically a two-part formula. First, their incredible size, their scale, lets them demand the absolute lowest prices from their suppliers. And second, they have this hyper-efficient supply chain that moves products for just pennies. The result? You get their famous promise: everyday low prices. It's a simple and just devastatingly effective advantage. But it all hinges on that colossal scale, which is both a fortress and, you could argue, a potential weakness. Now let's totally switch gears and look at a completely different playbook. Let's talk about Apple, a company that built an entire empire by being anything but the cheapest. They are the absolute masters of differentiation. Apple's whole strategy is just a masterclass in combining these different sources of advantage. Their brand inspires this intense, almost cult-like loyalty. Their proprietary technology, like iOS, creates what people call a walled garden that's really hard to leave. And of course, they are just relentless innovators in design and user experience. That combination right there is exactly why people will happily pay a premium for their stuff, even though relying on that premium can be a big risk when people's wallets get a little tight. And finally, let's look at a modern disruptor, a company that basically tore up the rulebook for a century-old industry: Tesla. Their advantage is just rooted in bold, relentless innovation.
You see, Tesla didn't just enter the car market, they completely redefined it. Their advantage is this trifecta of groundbreaking EV innovation, some of the best battery tech around, and super forward-thinking software. And all of that is wrapped up in this visionary brand that kind of makes owning a Tesla feel like you're driving a piece of the future. The flip side, of course, is that tying your brand so closely to a single famous leader, well, that can be a pretty high-stakes gamble.
So, you've done it. You've built an advantage. You're winning in the marketplace. Awesome. But now comes the hardest part. The final chapter in this playbook is all about one thing: making it last.
This is the key takeaway of this whole thing. A true advantage is one that's hard, maybe even impossible for your competitors to copy. I mean, sure, any company can have a weekend sale, but can they replicate Walmart's entire global supply chain? Anyone can try to design a sleek phone, but can they recreate the loyalty of Apple's ecosystem? When the answer to that question is no, that's when you know you have a sustainable advantage.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Just think for a second. What is the one company you are truly loyal to? The one you just can't imagine living without? Got it? Okay, now ask yourself, why? That reason, that feeling you just put your finger on, that's their competitive advantage. And it's working on you perfectly.